Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, myth means fake, imaginary, or a lie. Sattology means science of truth, mythology means science of fake or imagination. Connotation wise, since mythology is an old name, people have started using it as a synonym for history, but that is not. The original purpose of the word was to prove that all the ancient histories of the world were myth and the Abrahamic version was the only truth. That was the purpose of people who coined the term. Sathology is the word coined in 2018 by me, came in my first book, Sattology Debunking Mythology, in 2019. I am thankful to all the viewers who loved that book. It was very simple, but still it made a mark, I think because of the term. Now we have a whole Sattology movement running all over the world. We have Sattology Global, Sattology India. Now we're in 26 countries other than the US. So thank you all for joining. And some people have joined from South Africa. So thank you. Welcome to you as well. Today I have a very, very special guest. We do a weekly show. He's an author, he's a poet, he's a philosopher, he's a guide, and he's a Jyotishi. And now Jyotishi is a term you think is only connected to India, but no. We have a Vedic Jyotishi, who is from Canada, but he has lived in California and other places. So without delay, let us welcome the famous Jeffrey Armstrong.
Namaste, everyone. Adiji, great to see you again. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. To everyone.
Thank you so much for invocation of those prayers. Makes our show very special. Now, coming to the point of wokeism, and the wokeism has affected our campuses in a big way, social injustice, racial injustice, and we all can read the origins of wokeism is already there on the Wikipedia, which is not an authorized source. I don't approve of Wikipedia, but go for the references if any are there, and you can go and search in the libraries. That's the best way to know about this topic and how it is affecting our society, American society or the Western society. Gradually, this is going to come to the Eastern world also. So, Jeffrey, I want to begin with that. What do you understand on that? What is your commentary on that, please?
Well, to me, because I'm very much of an etymologist and always look at words, the word woke and awakening is related to the concept of renaissance, a rebirthing. We are indeed rebirthing, and rebirthing is not a one-step process, but a many-step process where we shed layers of who we're not and come toward who we really are. And this, of course, is the very essence of what yoga is. Yoga is not asanas and postures and breathing. Yoga is reclaiming our deepest and most true identity. So I celebrate all of these awakening movements, but it's important to remember they're awkward and they're in puberty. So rather than argue against them, it's important to help them find better language for their good intentions. That's our job who know yoga.
Great point. I think you brought it right to the origin, awakening. Now, is it the right awakening that we are always complaining about things here on the justice side? What is why people are using that as a means to oppose things here?
Well, everyone's
what are they rebelling against? Yes.
Yeah, they're looking for an identity and for a posture from which to make change. But it's a good way to think of it that there's an old saying. It's from Texas, so I'm going to say it like a Texan. Never get in a fight with an ugly person. They got nothing to lose. But we have to fight the ugly truths or untruths. So you have to be careful when you do, you don't catch the disease and become as ugly as what you're fighting against. So for all revolutions, it's very important not to become the problem you're fighting.
One of the things which I get often asked, and you are a senior practitioner in the same tradition where I belong to. Now, when people say race, is Hindu a race? Now, huge debates happen. Is Hindu a race? And because there is a Caucasian, and there's a new classification came up by the by the is being used in the academic circles is brown Caucasians. So, so what is your view on that?
Interestingly enough, of course, the word race, it is more like a human race, but other than that, uh, we're using one misnomer and defining it with another misnomer. So the first one is Hindu, which is not a descriptive term of any kind in the Vedic civilization. It's a modern slang term that's now used for very diverse people. And the people of Bharat, the original name for the country we now call India, it's like when you get a dog at the pound, you give them a new name. So the British named a bunch of things that are all, the names are a problem. And so it's not India and we're not Hindus. It's Bharat, and it includes the whole civilization of the world. It just was headquartered at one time in the place we now call India. And the knowledge that was given there was meant to be shared with everyone, but shared, not forced and not aggressively shoved down their throats. But all of this has become obscured by colonization and by the many terrible things that people have had done to them in the name of color, in the name of culture, in the name of so many things that are not them. So the first thing to know is that the Vedic civilization of Bharat does this to remind everyone that we are immortal beings visiting the world of matter, and that all of us are divine, all of us are beautiful, all of us have amazing hidden potentials, and those external things, from the clothes I wore today to the body I wore this life, are not us.
Nice way to put it. The word Hindu, I checked in many scriptures, and the word was used by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 600 years back. It has been in prevalence for last 2000 years. We can check it out because there's a Sanskrit definition about Bharatvarsha, which is the land of Aryavrat, is between from Himalaya to Vindhyachal, and that's called Aryavrat because maximum civilized people were there, and it's a huge area, huge, like it's twice the size of India today, stretches right from Afghanistan to all the way to Bangladesh today. It's a huge area, and the word
And
Hindu
Aryan meant woke, it meant enlightened and seeing everyone through the eyes of divinity. It wasn't a colonizer, they weren't violent. The people of Bharat never left their borders and went out and waged war on the world and destroyed their temples and broke their statues and stole their women. And that never happened coming from Bharat, ever.
Yeah, I mean, the kidnapping of women was a feature of the Rakshas, which you see in Ramayana, because that's what Ravan did all the time, kidnapping somebody else's wife. That's what he did all the time, and that was his favorite work. That's how he used to prove his power, and you still there today. Also, some people practicing that. They do not attack another able-bodied man. They attack women and children first, and either through philosophy or through actual physical attacks. And so, in that case, when you say social injustice, wokeism and social injustice, it is a distant concept for a Vedic follower. What do you have to add on that, sir?
You know, Adiji, I was thinking about this as we prepared for the show. There's two things that we need to consider. First is all of us develop at different stages of development. And this is called rites of passage. So to be born and then grow up as a human being, they're very specific evolutionary steps. And we're fragile until we're established as a solid adult. Now, that's one process. So society cares a great deal about that. And they hold us steady while we go through that development. What's supposed to happen is our true nature is supposed to unfold. So the term for that is one's sva dharma. Sva means one's own. So because nature is very diverse and karmas are very diverse, what we discover when we finish that formative process is what we will establish as our identity for that lifetime. Some degree of gender, some degree of ability, some degree of service, some degree of capability. Establishing that correctly was one of the basic pillars of Vedic civilization, contrary to all the propaganda. The search for that, and this is what Vedic astrology is about, it was the psychology of yoga. So it's very important to realize that we haven't restored the conversation of what Aryan is. Aryan is a civilization that sees all beings as immortal on a very long journey of rebirths, reincarnating again and again. And they treat everyone that way in their most fundamental understanding of who we are. And right now we see people struggling with identity across the planet because, of course, the civilizations that have governed them have been twisted, have twisted them, have not taken them through these rites of passage correctly. And the ultimate of this is male and female divine. Unless you have an ultimate image of masculine and feminine first, as archetypal and divine, you're going to be very confused when you go through puberty. You're going to be very confused if you decide you're female in a male body or male in a female body. You won't have a reference point. So since Adi used the word Aryan, I just wanted to point out that Aryan is this. It's not the Aryan of Adolf Hitler. It's not the Aryan of the British making propaganda against Bharat. It's the noble position of looking at everyone with respect.
No, most of the people from Iran, when I meet, and many of them are watching the show right now, most of them are my loyal followers and good friends. When I talk to them, they say that they are Aryan race, and which again they mention as a race. But when we tell them the facts about the word Arya Vrat, or the people, the most of the today's Persians in very, very ancient time, many years back, moved from Aryavrat to Parsi. Parsi is the actual name of Persia, which Greeks called it. They had a habit of adding A everywhere in the end. So they added A, and Canada also does the same thing. Many of the accented languages, A comes into play. But that's just a way of form of language of the local area. But still today, they say we are Aryan. And when I tell them the roots from where they came, it was Aryavrat, the land of Aryas. And Arjun is the one who passed through Persia, today's Persia, when he went to Shakadvipa, which is Europe, near Ural Mountains. They are shocked. So the academics have done a great disservice to the human mankind by not taking the recorded migration of people. Now, it is all one land. From India right till the France is all one land. People have migrated in the past. People have gone. So it's very natural for people to migrate in those earlier times where the boundaries were practically non-existent. So, but people question that how come the race, because the theory of Aryan invasion has been so academically established, even though faultily, but the propaganda is so high that, and it has been debunked right now perfectly in India, but it is going to, it's still not coming to the West because they don't accept those things. So how do you say the people, the identity of these people, which has been misplaced completely, wrong history has been taught?
You know, Adi, this is so critical because I want everyone to listen very carefully for this segment. The civilization that we're talking about in Bharat, and all of the many people over thousands and thousands and thousands of years that have gone from there and settled in other places. In Bharat, there is a symbol that is everywhere. And that symbol is Ganesha, an apparently human being with an elephant's head. And I want you to really get what this is about. The word genetic in English comes from Gana in Sanskrit. This deity, this being, is telling all of us humans that everything has a genetic code and that we are diverse and we're supposed to learn how to speak. So the word gang comes from gang, Gana. The many different kinds of people, we're supposed to learn how to make friends with them. So this is why Ganesha is everywhere. Ganesha is the advertisement for Vedic civilization that we are friends with everyone. And we see that diversity and we want to learn how to speak to them, how to interact with them in a friendly way. That's why Ganesha is so friendly. And he rides a mouse. The mouse means humility. Approach all unique civilizations with humility and respect and curiosity. That's the actual meaning of Ganesha, the ruler of all the gangs.
Coming back to this, see, my viewpoint is like that because the incorrect history has been taught, so the identity is misplaced, and so therefore, when they get confused, and now people are questioning them, how can you call yourself an Aryan? You don't follow Bhagavad Gita, you don't follow Veda, you don't have understanding of Ramayana and Mahabharata. How can you be an Aryan? Hitler twisted the symbol of swastik. He made it upside down, where swastik is itself a mandala, and you are an expert on that. It's a yantra on which you perform a puja or a worship. But it has been like a discredit. Now, more and more people are picking up the Hindu symbols and attaching it to wokeism. It's a social injustice, racial injustice. What do you have to say on that to those people?
We have to go back to the language. It's so important to start with the meaning of the words. So sva, asti, ka. Sva is one's own. Asti, eight, the 8 directions, north, south, east, west, northwest, southeast, southwest. Sva, asti, ka. Ka is the root of kama, which is desire, but it then leads to well-being. So sva asti ka means may culture and well-being radiate out into the 8 directions, and may everyone have well-being. Sva asti ka. It's a reach out blessing, saying not warfare, go everywhere and dominate, but Ganesha, go everywhere and make friends. And Sanskrit, go everywhere and make languages, which is what it did. And this is the underlying evidence of the nonviolent spread of Vedic civilization. All cultures that we know across the planet have probably got relatives in the Vedic diasporas that took place throughout history. And there were many of them over thousands and hundreds of thousands of years. We just are so small-minded.
No, so when they say racial injustice and the way you established, I nowadays I say Hindu is a race by faith as well as it's a culture, because the Vedic culture is colloquially practically known everywhere as Hindus. Even the strongest of institutions are referring themselves as American Hindus nowadays. And also they submitted in the American courts that we are American Hindus, we need to be protected. Now, so Hindu is a colloquial name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also used it. So it has some historical relevance now. And many of the Adi Sankaracharya, other people have also used it. So, so when somebody tells me social injustice, racial injustice, I always say that Hindus should also be now counted, because you don't count it as a race. So people are putting Hindus under the carpet more and more, because they don't see the philosophical side of it, even though you and I are aware of it, that it has nothing to do with race, because we don't believe in jati, we believe in varna. And so jati and varna is being interchangeably used. Jati is not varna, varna is not jati. Jati is a species, and like just like yoni. So, but the because in the racial injustice framework, Hindus do not factor in the leftist academic institutions, then there is a there. So they have no human rights now. You see where it is leading to? No human. So if when I say Hindus, human rights are also important. They're also humans, but they don't factor in. So mostly the human rights are counted for other recognized cases. What do you have to say on that? It is leading to that area because academics are driving the conversation here.
Well, I'm afraid I have to go back to language, Adi, because human is human. Listen carefully, everyone. The name of our planet in Sanskrit is Bhumi, Bhumi. Mata Bhumi, Mother Earth. But not Mother Earth, Mother Bhumi, Mata Bhumi. So Bhu is Sanskrit for to be. Om Bhur Bhuva Sva. It's where we be. It's what it is. I'm from Detroit originally. I was raised in the midst of my variously colored friends in Motown. So what it is and what it be is Sanskrit. It be Bhumi. It be Mata Bhumi. It and we then are humis. And humus is the dirt. And we're made out of the humus of Mata Bhumi. And the being beyond Bhumi, who is the source of cosmic creativity on behalf of the Supreme, is known as Manu. And from that we get manas, or mind, not man or male. We get manushya, the thinking beings who have emotions and thought. So we're Bhumi beings, we're humus beings, we're omis, we're homies. It's all etymologically been passed around, and now the differences amongst us, instead of being interesting flavors, have been weaponized and are used for political purposes to create artificial conflicts. When you really understand our universal spread over time, when you see your Naatma and you can't die, when you realize this has been going on for millions of years, you chill out. As they say in Hawaii, shaka bra. Take it easy, enjoy the sunset, you live longer.
That's a nice way to put it. But I'm trying to get all the controversial topics out of you. So there's this. Forgive me over there. So here when we talk about so wokeism is closely related to student politics today, very closely, and it is going to affect many movements. I don't want to name any movement here because I don't support any of those things, so I don't want to name it. But you can understand a lot of arson and other things have come in because somebody was agitated, beyond emotionally agitated, to perform certain things which is rationally not possible for a human who is trying to still understand the basic things about human. So where is why, my question is, how through philosophy we can challenge these people that this is a stupid philosophy?
Absolutely. You know, Adi, I did many different styles of martial arts. Along with knowledge and Sanskrit, I loved martial arts. And so I came up with what I consider the ultimate martial art. You ready? Tung Fu. Tung Fu, what you need with your tongue. We're humans. You need to use your speech to change everything without becoming hateful, hurtful, despicable. You need to not hurt the person. That's not the goal of martial arts. It's to stop the violence. Any martial artist will tell you they don't hurt the person when they could. They show the person they could hurt them so the person stops being stupid and isn't violent. So all of these well-meaning persons who go out of control then make themselves wrong by behaving badly like the people that harmed them. So now we're passing the hurt around rather than replacing hurt with wisdom. is so important that we learn the art of speaking truth and living it, and lead change with speaking it, not more destruction.
Yeah. See, the point is the students have great power, and all of you are watching it. It's, you have great power. With power comes responsibility as well, and that's what the Vedic culture is all about. It's all the philosophy of karma. You are responsible for your own karma, and when everyone is responsible for their own karma, naturally others will be safe because everyone is responsible. And I think that's the beauty of here is that when we talk about you monitor your actions, that is, you can call it introspection, and I think you can add something there. What is introspection? But when you are aware of the philosophy of karma, that's the beginning of spirituality. If you are not focusing on your karma, you cannot be spiritual because you're not looking inwards. What do you have to add on that?
Well, I'll give you two words that'll help with this. One of them is the word person, and one of them is the word persona. So this body is our persona. Persona means, in Greek, a mask. In the Greek theater, the actors and actresses would wear masks that either frowned or smiled. So at great distance, the audience knew who was on the positive side and who was on the negative side. So our persona, this is my persona, this is my persona, this is my persona, my mask. Now, underneath that is the person, which in Sanskrit is called Atma, atome. The Latin for uncuttable gave us the word atomic, but Atma means the real self cannot die, is immortal, is moving from vehicle to vehicle, from persona to persona. And here we are, all so confused because no one has told us we're the Atma. And this is so fundamentally important because as soon as you forget it, you get into the trap of talking to the other person's persona with your persona, and it's all a hall of mirrors and illusions, and we don't have a genuine view of one another. I would propose to you that at the very basis of this, that and that we only have one lifetime are destroying life all over our planet. If we only could remember to be immortals visiting and not humans in chaos.
So when we see the so that's a great point you made because how we can move beyond it. So when we talk about the left influence in academics in a big way, so how does Bhagavad Gita answer the left? So before that, you have to define left on your side. According to me, the left means who oppose any institution or any governance mostly. That's the left, according to the French. And the left means that creating all kinds of troubles. I mean, initially it was constructive criticism, but left means today it is beginning to stand everything that a rational human society stands for and kind of going towards anarchist. What do you have a position on that? And how does Bhagavad Gita answer that challenge?
Well, I like imagery. So the first thing is, this is a bird flying. I know I'm an awkward looking bird. So I'm flying through the sky, okay? So I have two wings and a tail. So which wing should we cut off while I'm flying? No, neither. So what if you're right and you're left? Is that's our problem. We've forgotten that they're not against each other. What if my right and my left disagree? Which one should we cut off to stop the war? This is the same thing with so-called caste. There's no such thing as caste. In true Vedic civilization, there's Varna. Varna means somebody's being the head of the social body, somebody's being the protector of the social body, the arms. Somebody's being the belly. They're producing the food and all the goods and everything, and the legs, and somebody's carrying it all around and making sure it gets everywhere. So which of those would you like to cut off? Which of those would you like to destroy? Which part of the body of society would you like to get rid of? We're so lost and confused. We think our two arms are fighting each other and one of them has to go. Left and right is useless unless you understand it's the two arms you keep and they cooperate. And now it gets interesting, don't they? When the two arms cooperate, now the bird can fly. And the tail is being intelligent. That's when you tell a tale. The right tail will teach you how to fly properly. And that's straight out of the Vedas, folks.
You made an analogy into more spiritual, but generally the left is today, and even the right also, it doesn't make sense, like you explained. I always say we are neither left nor right. We are dharmic. We are in the middle. And dharma means that we are neither non-violent nor violent, which is a very unique position because we value the importance of both at times.
Hadi, I have a saying I made up. The secret of life is to use what's left in your right brain and what's right in your left brain. So where does that bring us? Watch carefully. Left in your right brain, right in your left brain. Oh, namaste.
So in
we need both.
We need both, and so on the basis of this discussion, we can actually reject wokeism to a large extent because it is just playing on the emotions of people, and making people more crazy and more restless, and for nothing, because we don't need both of them, because we need extreme in any situation is bad, in any situation.
We need an awakening, but not one more pounding on anybody.
Already due to pandemic, we have already have so many issues, and the biggest issue is the depression coming after pandemic, which has been severe for many people. That millions of people have lost their jobs, and economy has been closed to a large extent. So we don't need this additional thing in our society to divide ourselves. This is the time to, and I am a big proponent of mental health through meditation, and which is the biggest need today. And for that, we have to not be agitated, because the first principle of yoga is you should be peaceful. Your mind should be controlled. And these agitators, either in the name of academics, I don't know what kind of academics is this, and I can challenge that all the time. If this is the standard of academics, then what is the difference in them and a terrorist today?
The easiest thing to do is to cause unrest and destruction. An amateur can do that. Only a skilled professional can bring about change through eliciting cooperation. This is a renaissance in the making, but we have to make sure that we don't let it become entropy. And the nature of the material realm is entropy. It's easier to break things than it is to build them. And it's harder to sustain them than it is to build them.
Yeah, that's why Vishnu's work is the hardest to maintain things. Is hardest.
And the most invisible.
Most invisible. And for that to maintain, you have to have goodness in the heart, in your actions, as well as in your thoughts. So you need to have that, otherwise you can't do that. So one point again, another comes in, and we have covered all the points which are given to me by all the students, most of them. One thing comes to the mind is opposition to the philosophy of karma in the campuses. So what do you have to say on that? Who is opposing it and why they're opposing it? We all know. But is that opposition founded on logical principles, or is again a political propaganda? That you will have to decide. But Jeffrey, what do you think on that?
Well, here's the thing. According to the yoga teachings, It's what we individually establish is in ourself is a state of balance so that we can't be pulled out of that by oppositional moments outside of us. Think about that. Descartes said, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. I say, cogito ergo yoga. Because it's ego or yoga, folks. You're either going to act out of your narrow-minded persona and small-minded self-interest, or we're going to listen to Ganesha and listen carefully to every group, hear what they say, learn how they can thrive. Look at what we're doing to ourselves is what we're doing to our planet. We're destroying the habitat of all the species. Well, how can we be happy if we're doing that? As above, so below. Yata pinde, tata brahmande in the Rig Veda. So it's very important that we take a global view of this and not just a human view of this. We're actually suffering the symptoms of something far worse than COVID. It's covertly destroying and still colonizing our whole planet and destroying the habitat of every species and greedily taking too much. And we have to learn to honor each species. That's also Ganesha. Their genetics has a right to be here as much as ours does. In fact, we're interdependent. It's this delicate interdependency that the Vedic civilization indicated with the svastika. May this creative well-being spread out in all directions, and may we learn to be humble and respectful to every species, what to speak of every human.
So thank you all the groups who have joined today. And I liked all your questions. One last point I would like to say where I want to make Jeffrey a little bit laugh. So do you have any poem you can make for Wokism? Or one or two?
Yeah, I actually do. If you really want me to do it, huh? Okay. So I told you I'm from Detroit. And so inevitably I invented something I call Caucasian rap or crap. You just shouldn't laugh. It's some good, you know what. So here we go. Said, you heard of Adam. He discovered the atom as he tried to relieve a lady named Eve with a weakness for snakes, couple bad breaks. So they cut down the trees and bought color TVs, polluted the skies, built a new paradise with a crane. They were able and a wrinkle-free label, hoping not to die, bought insurance from a guy with a crew cut and a grin who smelled of original sin. And the accidental babies raised on formula and maybes read the Bible science fiction, saw the moonshot resurrection, but could see what they were getting was a Brand X Armageddon with a nuclear conclusion to the fission in the fusion. Had they thought the prophets meant the money should be spent and forgot the words of Moses, who felt bad and sent roses to the funeral of a race in the depths of outer space on a planet that will glisten with the proof it wouldn't listen till the flood will come again. And another group of men try to live but not to harden in the cosmic kindergarten.
I think it sums it up. We said the entire story of the human mankind, right from destruction to creation. So those of you who loved this video, do get a book of Jeffrey Armstrong, Gita Comes Alive. The website is right behind, and it is a beautiful cover, one of the best covers I ever saw. It has a lot of detail in that cover. And also the content. I've got the book. So
and Adi, if I may say, we're having a 2-week special on our Gita class for free. Just go to gitacomesalive.com and you can come to the Gita class once a week for the next 2 weeks online and see if you're enjoying how we're talking about the Gita.
Yeah. And this is the way to keep yourself busy in a positive way. Gita lets you discover yourself. That's the beauty of Gita. And you can go and check out our books on Amazon, on Sattology, and also you can search Gita Comes Alive, Jeffrey Armstrong on Amazon too, because that is available there. And welcome to our weekly show for all the new people. I think it was the first session you had. but I think the poem was the icing on the cake. It was in the last. So thank you so much for joining this discussion. We enjoy, me and Jeffrey enjoy every week coming with you, sitting down with you in this live session. And you can do it justice by reading or joining the Gita classes, or also you can join the Japa every day at everydaychan.com. Thank you. Namaskar.